I would like to start my speech with one question. How many steps did you walk today? Are you above the average value of 5,117 steps every day? I know what most of you are thinking. I don't have any idea. And it's good like this, because walking is something very natural, very normal, and very automatic for us. We don't think about walking while we're walking. Our feet take us almost everywhere without a big effort. But I can tell you from my own family experience that this is not the case for everybody. My grandpa was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 9 years ago and struggles with walking ever since. He needs to actively concentrate on each step in order not to stumble and fall. Today I will show you a little bit why he has this problem and how this problem could be solved by technology. Therefore, I would like to ask you to stand up for a little experiment. We're gonna get a little bit of action into today's event. So when you stood up, first of all, I will show you what you will do. So the task is going to be standing on one leg, extending your arms to the side, index fingers pointing forward. And then, with long arms, you're going to join the index fingers in front of you. So, you will do this first with your eyes closed completely, and afterwards with your eyes opened. I will give you a little bit of time to do this now. Okay, I think that by now everybody should be finished. And I'll ask you now, which of the two was easier? Of course, it's the second one, because we have an additional feedback from the body. While we do the movement, we can see if one finger is above the other, and we can adjust our movement to this. So, in Parkinson's disease, the problem lies between the connection of the spinal cord and the brain. That's called substantia nigra. And among other problems, the feedback that Parkinson's patients get from their body is decreased. So they feel a little bit like we felt now in the second experiment. They have less sensory feedback, and also they cannot use the sensory feedback as well as we do. So that's actually what happens during walking, and instead of the visual feedback, it's more the feedback that they get from our movement and position sensors in the body. My name is Scholl. I'm a biomedical engineer, and my goal is to give Parkinson's patients a better, safer, and more active way of life by closing their feedback loop. Like most of you, I studied here at TU Darmstadt. I entered in 2011 and I studied mechanical engineering with the goal of working in the car industry. When roughly 1 year later I got a fee of 267 euros and 50 cents because of walking at the wrong spot, I was sure that cars cannot be future's mobility, and that I would like to use my talent for something that makes more sense for me and the society. And I found this in biomechanics. Why biomechanics? It was so obvious for me that if you could do an innovation in the area of biomechanics, if you improve a little thing, patients and users can benefit from this little thing 5,117 times every day. During the end of my studies, I found a project that I could use my university knowledge for something that my grandpa might benefit from 5,117 times per day. So, in order to show you why my grandpa can need this, I have to tell you a little bit more about his problems in everyday life. So, due to the reduced feedback, you remember eyes closed in the experiment, due to the reduced feedback from his body, he doesn't have the same sensation that we do. And this is why most of the times he walks a little bit with a stooped posture, so his trunk lean forwards. Then he also does small shuffling steps. So in case of uneven ground, this can often lead to stumbling and, in the worst case, falling. And actually, he could walk correctly, he just needs some kind of feedback. And in the case of my grandpa, this is usually from my grandma. Imagine them walking in the woods for 30 minutes, and once in a while my grandma says, "Hey, please lift up your trunk." And he lifts up his trunk. "Please do bigger steps." And then actually during some time, during the first 50 steps, he is able to walk perfectly. And afterwards my grandma needs to remind him again and again and again. Then after some time my grandpa says, "No, it's finished now, I want to go home, it's enough for today." That's where my startup comes into the game. We automate the nagging by putting sensors on a shoe insole and giving a vibrational feedback in case of wrong steps. So instead of my grandma saying all the time, "Ah, no, you're doing wrong steps," my grandpa would walk, and each time he does a mistake, he would get a vibration on the respective foot and know, "Oh, on this side I have to do bigger steps, alright." And thus, just him notices it, his surroundings don't even notice, and in the best case, he will get used to it. He will repeat this loop and then get used to walking in a correct and safe way. When I told my grandpa about this idea, he was so happy about it. He said, "Oh, I really want this, I can need all the help I can get. So I promise you to buy the first pair of shoes. And I also promise you to throw it into the river if it doesn't work." I think that up to now, we've been doing great. None of our insoles got wet. Together with two friends from university and a neurologist, we created the startup in 2019, and we won many competitions, both national and international, and now we just started a prototype study at University Clinic Frankfurt with around 50 patients. So that was like a big part of the time within the last 4 years I spent on this project with the goal of helping Parkinson's patients. And during this time, some things became clear to me. There's actually a very strong connection between innovation and walking. Remember that we said that in the beginning that walking is something very normal, very natural, which is very easy for us. It's straightforward, just go. In the same way, innovation also seems to be something very straightforward. You learn something and apply it, and that's it. What we often forget about walking is that it takes us about 11 years to improve our walking technique until reaching almost perfection. Before that, it's a process of trial and error. It's like almost a fight between our anatomy and our neurology. So our brain wants to do the movements, plans the movements, sends the signals to the muscles. Go! The muscles receive the signals, do a movement, get the feedback back to the brain, and we all know that in the first 5, 10, 20, 50 times it really doesn't work. Babies fall down a lot. And then it goes on like this. Once we get to stand, we get to walk some steps, and then later on it's really the improvement of something that's already very good. And I think that in innovation we should do the same. We also have this kind of control process. That's like what we learn in university. That's what you need to do. But actually, we don't train the hands-on things, like the hands-on entrepreneur actions. So from my point of view, it's very important to learn things, but also to apply them, see if they work, or if you have to adapt something. And therefore, you will get more motivation to learning better from university and being able to apply it into your own projects. So, when you walk out of today's event, I would like you to take 2 things from my speech. The first one, be grateful for every step you take and be very thankful for not having to think about it. This is not the case for everyone. The second one, grab your best classmate and do a project. Create something that really matters to you and that you can apply your university knowledge in a way that can help people or the society. Stay active. Thank you.